Okay, 6 o'clock, it's Steve, and I'll move to order and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilkinson?
Here.
Commissioner Justardens?
Here.
Commissioner Bird? Commissioner Bird, sorry. Commissioner Prunick?
Here.
Mayor Barry?
Here. All right. Item B, public comment, 4 minutes. Sure.
Thank you. I'm John with Picture Rocks Cruises, and I thought it would be appropriate for some of our management team and the future leadership of Picture Rocks Cruises to come down and introduce themselves and give them a short idea of what they do at the business. I know you've probably seen a lot of these faces and names around town.
They look familiar.
Yeah. I'll ask where, Ron. But I want you to, we have a very vibrant, young management team that's going to take over the company. And I'm proud of them. It's been a lot of hard work. They contribute in many different arenas. And I will start off with the leader of the pack, Zach Bushy. You want to say just what you do at the cruises, Zach? And
My name's Zach Bushy, operations manager, part owner, captain on some days, and been with the company for 16 years now. 31 years old, so half my life, I guess. And I just feel very fortunate and blessed that I have an opportunity to make that full-time work for me and make it a career to live here in Munising, because I love the community and I love living here, so.
Jaden Evie, been the cruises for 20 years. I am a captain and assistant manager. Job I have has allowed me to buy a house in town and stay in this area where I love, and I work at the boat cruise. I've been there quite a while, so it's just enjoy being down there and everything it brings to the community.
Keegan Evil, been with the company for 12 years now, I believe, and my current position with the cruises as an operations manager actually afforded me the opportunity to move back to Munising. My wife and I moved to Negaunee for a few years, and then as things evolved with the cruises, it afforded us the ability to come back to the community we both grew up in. Pretty good fit there.
I'm Noah Moser, born and raised here in town. I'm an assistant manager down at the cruises, kind of like a specialist projects team. And this job has been the biggest part of my life for the most part, and has really helped out me and my family over the years.
Hi, I'm Michaela Lindstrom. I'm not from here originally, but I have family from here. I'm managing inside the gift shop and ticket sales. Me and my husband have been back in the area for the last 4 years. We had graduated from tech and we were downstate in more corporate jobs, but we decided to come back to this area. He's from here since middle school, and like I said, I have a lot of family here. So we've started a family in the last 4 years, 2 little boys. And we really like the idea of coming back to this small community and pouring into the businesses here and the community here.
Abby?
Abby Wittes-Ron. I'm with Picture Rocks Kayaking, which is just another one of John's businesses. Born and raised, graduated from Munising here, went away to Northern, kind of went away. Graduated with a business degree and came back and became the office manager at Picture Rocks Kayaking. I was actually the first employee of Picture Rocks Kayaking in 2016, and I've been there ever since. I'm married and have a husband here, and that's my help here.
I thought that would be appropriate to see the life and blood of the company, and the life and blood of a company that has potential with young, vibrant community members, that this is their career and their livelihood, and they're very concerned about the company and going forward. They're open to any questions if you have any. If not, I'll sit down and be quiet.
Mr. Moser, what's your first name again?
Noah.
Noah. Nate's your dad?
Yes.
Mark's your granddad?
Yep.
I knew you when you were a baby living next door to me.
Anybody else have a question for the crew?
Thank you for.
Is this a retirement speech, John?
Some people might want that to be. There's days that I feel like it, but we'll see. But it's certainly my involvement with the company has changed, and this young crew has taken a lot of responsibility from me over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years. They've stepped up. It's a tough job, long hours. It's rewarding, but it's also demanding. And you know, with this leadership, I don't see where that company, you know, I see so many tourist companies, not in this area, but other areas of the state. And you can see in the paper where outside ownership has came in and bottom up, and legal problems, and, you know, no perpetuation. And they lose the connection to the community, I think, because you know, the money's, you make money, but it's not sticking around and invested in the future. So, and I'm proud of that. We've been able to transfer that knowledge and ability to this young, talented crew. So, anyways, I thought it was important that you to hear that from them.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It appears you've chosen well.
Anybody else have public comment? All right, moving on. Oh, I'm sorry. 4-minute limit.
Starting over here.
Yep, please.
I'd like to make a comment about fluoride in our drinking water. And I was against this a long time ago, but I just found there's some new information about it, which I would like to make a comment on. And I know it's necessary that we have chlorine to make it safe, but fluoride, it's not the same. And rather than making it safe, I believe it's a contaminant for our city drinking water. Pretty soon it's possible that the new HHS Secretary, RFK Jr. might say that we shouldn't put it in anymore. But I found some new information and I wanted to share it, if I may. So first I'd like to say that some cities never put fluoride in their water, and some cities have stopped putting it in since this ruling came out. And brushing with fluoride is fine, but only if you don't swallow. And I just suggest that you check your tube of toothpaste. It's a fluoride toothpaste. Check the warning on there. So I saw this website recently, and it's fluoridealert.org, and there's a lot of information in there. And I wanted to go to a judgment about a recent case, and I found that the easiest way to get there, and I'm going to give you, I've got some copies of this, but the easy way to get there is just to scroll down, and under what's new, there are 3 different subjects horizontally, and one of them is EPA fluoride lawsuit 2017 to 9/24/2024, which is just 6 months ago. And it doesn't make sense, but why is FAN, F-A-N, suing the EPA about our water and about having clean water? And I looked to find an answer to that, and I went down to frequently asked questions, and under the first one, it said, why did FAN, the Fluoride Action Network, have to sue the EPA to get cleaner, safer drinking water? And I went down to key topics, and under frequently asked questions, under what is fluoride? It says fluoride in water is regulated by the EPA as a contaminant. And a couple other sections of frequently asked questions I thought were significant too. What countries fluoridate their water, and what are the risks of swallowing fluoride? And then just breaking down to the judgment from September 24 of 2024, which is about 6 months ago. I just want to read the last paragraph I've written of that here under the judgment. And it says specifically, the court finds that fluoridation of water at 0.7 milligrams per liter, the level presently considered optimal in the United States, poses an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. It says the court finds there is an unreasonable risk of such injury in such sufficient a risk sufficient to require the EPA to engage with the regulatory response. And one thing the EPA cannot do, however, in the face of the court's finding, is to ignore that risk. And in light of that, I just wanted to bring the subject before you and ask you to consider making our water safer by removing the fluoride out of our drinking water. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have public comment?
Okay, hearing none, then we'll move on to Mike Rentz, the presentation of the 2023-2024 audit. Thank you, Mike.
Finally, at long last. I'm not used to the sun shining and it warm out. Starting on page 5 is the opinion. You had an unmodified opinion, so you complied with all the generally accepted accounting principles. It says they're your statements, not ours, and we take a sampling of transactions that we don't look at every one. Looking at page 20, when you roll the city up in total, you ended up with a net position of just over $18.3 million, which is good. It's an increase of roughly $700,000 from the year before, so we'd like to see that. Devin wants to go into that in detail since it's his last one here, so we can. Looking at page 24, looking at the governmental funds. We ended up with a fund balance of 3.7. That's about a $350,000 increase from the year before. The two big pieces there was the capital project fund had about $135,000 gain. So you're starting to transfer some money into there for the projects. You haven't used it all. So that's that. And then the general fund had a gain of just over $220,000, which, if you look at page 81, is actually about $450,000 better than what your budget was. So that's good. The big piece there was expenses coming in under budget, and a little bit here, a little bit there, but the two big ones is public service didn't have as much charges for services that they purchased than what was budgeted, and then the economic development project didn't go through, and those are the two big savings right there when you look at that. Looking at everybody's favorite, the coloring book. What's nice to see here is
Visually oriented.
looking at the general fund, cash and fund balance. Nice to see it's been going up steadily over the last 5 years. That's great to see. You know, looking at the next one at your revenues, you know, 21 you had the big bump when the bond refunding came through, but everything's pretty constant, so no big swings there. Looking at the next one, looking at the general fund, 23, 24 had a bump. Nothing significant, it's just more costs coming through, getting the internal service fund, the motor pool running, getting some of those costs allocated out to the different departments, kind of raised it, but nothing that's jumping out and saying, hey, here's a big change. Flipping back to the report in conjunction with this, so looking at page 27, along with the graphs here. Looking at the sewer fund, no big concerns there, not big swings for the most part. Looking at it, they did transfer out $300,000 to the capital project fund to help pay for their share of the project, but it still had a positive gain for the year, so that's good to see. Looking at the water fund, no big swings there. They added the bottom line. They transferred out to the capital project fund, so it was good there. So I'm not seeing big things or stuff that has to change with that. And looking at the Marina Fund, you know, that had a loss, but a lot of that came from the original capital contribution when the project went forward. Now we're depreciating that. And that's where in '23, looking at the drafts, 300,000 got transferred out of the Marina Fund over to the capital to help pay for that. So that's the big change there. For those that want to, you have all the numbers that come out of the report. You can trace them around and go from there. One of the things I want to point out here is the internal service fund is doing good. It is, you know, in total out of the whole, so that's great. It added to the bottom line. That's good to see. So what I like about that, for the motor pool, you're starting to see what the costs are, and it's being allocated by who's using the equipment in which fund. And that way you get a truer picture of what it is. I have to raise the rates, the rental rates a little bit to cover those costs. So when MDOT comes around, there'll be an adjustment there, but I think it gives a truer picture at that point. Couple things I want to hit on page 43, your cash balances. This is nothing bad, more of a FYI. You have roughly $9.5 million in the bank. 1.5 of it is, well, roughly 2 million of it is covered by FDIC insurance. 7.5 million of it is not. So one of the problems you have in a town this size, you don't have that many financial institutions to spread that around, so.
We have done that.
We are in the process of diversifying.
We're in the process of
In the process, so, you know, kind of looking at that and keeping, you know, that's a big number here, percentage-wise, that isn't covered if something were to happen. Looking at page 78. Just looking at the MERS plan here, the liability has gone down about 400,000 roughly in the current year, so that's good to see. Riding the market wave, you know, is always fun, but you're not bad, you're not good, you're where everybody else in the state is. It's just finding money to put into the plan, but it did take a drop this year, so I just wanted to point that out. At this point, we say, here's the issues that we had. We looking at page 122 and 123. Nothing new here. We helped put the report together. I'd say that's more of a FYI. And then there was a couple things that were over budget. Nothing significant, nothing that I'm concerned about from that standpoint. So that's the short version. Does Devin want to go into the longer version since it's your last one?
I got all night.
There we go. And everybody's here, you know. It's been a pleasure working with Devin over the years. I think you're losing somebody that has brought the city forward.
Any questions?
No, I just a comment, I've been looking at these for many years. The city is in enviable financial shape. And I will give Devin the majority of the credit for being conservative and balancing the budget, coming in under budget every year, building the fund balance. Kirsten too, just in the last year. One question, what's the trigger on a budget amendment? What's the trigger amount?
For a budget amendment,
Which is one of our findings.
it's $0. We can use $0 in any line.
I thought there was a certain amount.
No.
Oh, no.
No, as soon as you're
No,
over
no,
budget,
it
as
used
soon
to
as
be a
you're over
certain-
budget, it doesn't matter.
It used to be a certain amount, didn't it?
Yeah, not anymore. They say as soon as you're over budget, boom.
Well,
But not from
considering the
here.
number of line items in the budget, that's inevitable, you're gonna do that.
Yeah, and there's nothing big here, so.
The ones we talked about are on page 75.
Yes. 125.
$9,000.
9,000? We can look at it.
Yeah. Future city manager.
And thanks, Mike. I mentioned to you earlier, aside from 1 year when I was on the QPAD board, you've been the only auditor I have ever known.
Been
The
around.
city, at Altran, at Grown Lead, at
A lot of.
QPAD. You did QPAD too for a while too, didn't you?
Yeah, our other office, yeah. So, but yeah, I think Devin's leaving the books in a good spot. So the one thing I will say is with his departure is don't jump for the first candidate. Wait and get somebody that you want and that's gonna fit the community. I see that a lot of times where, ooh, here's all these people and we're gonna grab the first one or the best out of the batch. Maybe you have to go a few rounds before you find what you want.
Well, you know, and this is probably a bad time to mention this, but Devin was our 5th choice.
And look what you got.
Okay, any other questions or
I do
comments?
have one question, maybe just to help me understand a little bit about this. Under the net position, we have deferred, what is it? Deferred outflow and deferred inflow.
Yes.
And at this point, is that a ratio that we should look at, or is that just numbers?
For the bulk of it, I'm gonna say it's just numbers. From the standpoint, when you look at the deferred inflows and outflows that you have here, most of that is all related to the pension plan. So I'll do it, let me try to do it this way. In their infinite wisdom, instead of saying, we're gonna slam everything through the current year as an expense, so they project what your interest rate's gonna be, they project what their assumptions are, and they project what your experience is on payouts. So instead of every year when that changes, running it through the current year, they defer out over so many years, and that's what's creating these deferred inflows and outflows. So it's nothing you can manage. It's all coming out of the pension plan of, they say, oh, well, your experience rating changed, here's how many service lives here, so we're gonna spread it out over this. So to figure these numbers, we have a spreadsheet that's like this over all these years.
Okay, thank you.
That's a simple way for me
Yeah,
to
that's,
put
I
it.
just hadn't really paid much attention to that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
thank you.
we all good?
May I ask?
Yeah.
So I ask this every year, but in your opinion, is there anything that the administration and the commission should look at in our budgeting process this upcoming year? Whether there's areas that we should be trying to focus on increasing fund balances or anything like that that you would advise?
The only thing I advise is see if you can keep them. Other than that, no, I think you're rolling in the right direction. I think things are, you know, compared to what they used to be and trying to dig out of the hole, you've come a long way in getting all the funds in a nice, healthy position.
Well, and you're right in that we will have no shortage of candidates for this position just because of the fiscal shape and the physical shape that the city is in.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Appreciate it. Okay, I would like to entertain a motion, somebody entertain a motion to.
I move we accept the 23-24 audit.
I'll support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Wilkinson to accept the 2023-2024 audit. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay. Item D, the consent agenda. Any questions or corrections or anything needs to be moved off the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll support.
Moved by Commissioner Prunick, supported by Commissioner Birch to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, item E, new business, resolution adopting a brownfield plan for the Butcher Rocks cruise. I don't know, who would like to start on Yes, Devin?
Yeah, I can introduce it. So, Picture Rocks Cruises and John Madigan have come to the city commission over the last couple months. Let the commission know that they were going to be reviewing and possibly putting in an application for a brownfield plan to the DDA, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority of the county, and then also the accompanying bodies, being the county commission and the city commission. After a couple months of working on it, they were able to get the DDA and the County Brownfield Authority to approve of the plan after some discussions with all of the parties involved. And Dale Immel is here as the chair of the DDA if there's any questions with the DDA. At this point, just to give a 1,000-foot overview of how the finances work, is that it would be Picture Rocks Cruises development plan as the 381 plan that we emailed out last week states. Basically, that's what the development is. And from there, what would happen is it's a tax increment financing, it's a TIF district. However, it's interesting in that it creates a TIF inside of a TIF, being the DDA. So the city, we as us receiving the tax revenue, our tax revenue was essentially frozen at the inception of the DDA on that parcel. Since the inception of the DDA has collected the entire increase of any taxable value. What this would do is allow the DDA to willingly forfeit that TIF increase from the development and put it into the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority to pay back the developers over the span of, I believe, 14 years, and then the additional collection of that Brownfield Authority over 3 years. At this point, the city, as an organization for public safety and public works, we would not receive any additional revenue off of that parcel either way. So it's the DDA is the city body that does deal with that, and they did approve it at their meeting last month tentatively. And so it is now to the city commission for final approval and concurrence with the resolution.
That was as concise an explanation as I've ever heard. It really was.
And the Brownfield Authority has already made their approval, and I believe the county commission, not yet?
Next one.
Okay, I wasn't sure with our meeting being canceled last Wednesday. So this is more or less formality, just to give our blessing for DDA, the Brownfield Authority, to move it forward.
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution for Picture Rock Cruises in the provisions of Act 381 of the Public Act.
I support.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkinson, supported by Commissioner Starnes to approve the...
Question.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, any discussion?
The taxable valuations have been updated?
They have that.
Okay. It's the only one I had.
Okay, can I finish now?
Yes, please. Sorry.
Motion by Commissioner Wilkinson, seconded by Commissioner Starnes to approve the resolution adopting the Brownfield plan for Picture Rocks Cruises. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I do. So because this is a TIF and a TIF, all of the discussion about this happened at the DDA, where we don't have a lot of the public go to DDA meetings. Can you guys give a little bit of insight of just like how you guys discussed it, what aspects of this stuck out to you, just for further clarification for the general public?
I believe there's still public meetings coming forward that we have to hold. Our meetings are open to everybody.
Well, I realize that, but we have got a TV camera here. These are recorded and available to review online. DDA meetings are subject to change at a whim, and it's kind of hard for most people to figure out what it is the morning before. So, and it's difficult, but it's not impossible.
Every third Wednesday of the month.
That's changed multiple times in the last year. So, and you have the power to do that. The thing is that what's difficult about a TIF and a TIF is that we are creating a government meeting and a government meeting. And that extension of making sure that the public understands it, I really don't have a problem with this plan.
Sounds like
That's fine. I agree with the process that's being involved. However, when it comes down to the people that are trying to learn more about what their government's doing, this one wasn't really one that was clear to figure out what was the first domino to fall. It's more of just a transparency thing that's helpful to the neighbor, not so much a specific thing about this property.
this one was easy. It should have been the last one. The day that one was difficult.
And I went to that one, and there was a lot of questions that I had emailed as well, specifically about, how much does the city monitor this, how much is the overlap with the DDA, because we do have that district and a district, and that's come up a couple of times. I just want to make sure that this is, I'm not questioning whether something is going wrong. I'm just making sure that it's clear for everybody to understand, because we have the privilege of being able to have public staff and, you know, everybody else involved, and I just wanted to see if you guys had any discussion or.
We have staff too, you can check with, there's people that work there every day.
Yeah, and correct me wrong on the dates, but I think John came to the first DDA meeting in November? It would have been late last fall, early winter, and then from there, the original proposal for a brownfield plan was presented, I want to say in December. However, in that December review, I think even at the Brownfield Authority, I think Dean and Mike would have been involved at that point. The questionable issue came up with the proposed taxable value maybe not being accurate. At that point, both the DDA and the Brownfield Authority kind of put it on hold while John and then the consultant working with John, who's worked with the city and the DDA, Jeff Hawkins from EnviroLogic, now Fishbeck, worked with our assessor to update that taxable value and the proposed taxable value of $1.2 million. So 1.289, I believe, from a current taxable value of like 340,000, if I'm not mistaken, ballpark numbers. And then I want to say it was the February meeting that the DDA, who had already looked at the plan, the only thing they had to do was relook at the numbers, which the original plan had 25 years of capture plus 5 years for the Brownfield Authority with that lower taxable value. Our assessor came back and said, actually, I was unaware of the additional items on the parcel, revised that taxable value, and that shrunk that repayment down to 14 years for the developer. Same amount of money, just 14 years for that repayment plan. And then we went to the DDA approved it in February, and I believe either the day before or day after, the County Brownfield Authority held a very similar meeting, it would have been before that meeting, and discussed it and decided and worked with the DDA as well as the Brownfield Authority members and brought their 5-year capture from 5 down to 3 on that parcel. And that's essentially been the timeline for both. The DDA's discussed it in probably 3, if not 4 meetings, starting with John coming as an introductor. I believe it would have been about the same time John came to the City Commission and gave just a mild a heads up to the City Commission that he was going to be reviewing that possibility with Fishback as well.
I appreciate the transparency of additional information. So, like I said, I just know that there's a lot of availability for confusion that would just needs a little bit of additional information.
I would say we've attended no less than 8 public meetings. City, EDA, County Brownfield.
Like I said, I don't have a problem with the project. I just want to make sure, I just want to make sure that this is clear what the procedure is, because whenever you start getting into those other meetings, it just, 9 times out of 10, the average person does not understand what's happening. Taking an extra 5 minutes to just kind of go over that is the least that we can do to make sure that there's no problems in the back end.
Do you have any specific questions?
No, honestly, you know, my big questions were, how are we monitoring how much we're spending in tips? You know, because like, when you create a TIF district like this, you have the potential of losing out on your general balance. And I know with the DDA, it's in a different scenario to begin with. And those questions were addressed when I emailed Devin, and they have a registry of it and stuff like that. And so, you know, these things don't happen very often, but Commissioner Desjardins had brought it up in one of his first meetings after being appointed. So it's something that is on some people's radars and it's not on others. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody was clear and take the extra couple minutes to make sure that.
We are a consultant, and it is confusing as heck.
Yeah.
I mean, without that consulting working with our board, I don't know that our board would have understood it well enough, myself included, to feel comfortable enough to say, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. That's a legitimate development cost too.
That's sure, that doesn't come sure.
I have one question, Dale.
Yeah.
Are the time of your, date and time of your meetings and the agenda, are they posted online?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, we're an arm of the city.
Right, I understand. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was out there.
We don't have cameras, you're welcome to come to TV6 anytime you want.
But I believe it's musicdowntown.org is their website.
Yeah.
They statutorily have that.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion or questions? All right, and then we'll take a roll call vote, please, Mary.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Aye.
Commissioner Justardens.
Yes.
Commissioner Bird.
Aye.
Commissioner Prunick.
Aye.
Mayor Barry.
Aye. Motion carried.
On behalf of Victor Dodge Cruises and everybody here attended representing the company, we appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 2.
Excuse me, just so you know, just to help answer Mr. Burgess' question, now that you approved it, the public hearing is scheduled for the 17th at 4 p.m. Before our regular board meeting, so that's from the public, if they have any questions, they're welcome to do that and ask us questions.
Thank you. Okay, item number 2, resolution for pay request, M28 Water Sewer Improvements Project.
So I'm gonna actually kick this over to Emmett Bajorn from UPEA. He has become our project manager, taking over from Kevin Nancaro on our remaining item, that is the Bay Shore Well House, and he's also tying up our Barnum Street project and the last few items that we need as a project as a whole, being as-built and some of our reporting for the state.
Yeah, like Devin said, my name is Emmett Bajorn. I'm a civil engineer and project manager from our Houghton office. We're assisting City of Munising with some transitions out of our Ishpeming office to help close out this project and expend the remaining rural development funds. And today, our RD draw request has our outstanding invoices as part of the project from the duration of the Barnum Street project. We had our previous draw request was outstanding for a couple months as rural development needed more information from the contractors to help close out their final pay items, or their final pay applications. So this is kind of closing out our portion of the project, cleaning up our invoices. And I guess if there's any questions on this pay app, I can definitely take them. And then I'd also like to maybe give a little summary of what's to come as far as the Bay Shore Well House.
One question just for Devin. This is the 33rd draw. This is, funding goes back to 2020?
Yes.
The original M28 project?
Yes.
It has morphed considerably since then?
Yes, the infrastructure project in the corridor came in significantly under budget. So we were able to pick a couple items that we had on our preliminary engineering report, basically our priority report, and that was the Barnum Street 12-inch connection and the Bay Shore Well House replacement. So with the completion of the MDOT corridor in 2023, we spent the last 2 years working on Barnum Street and Bay Shore Well House.
In our rural development funding, a couple of years ago, when these projects were closing, was at an all-time low interest rate. So it's very much in municipalities' favor to expend all of those funds that they had.
Is this the final pay request?
No.
I could ask.
Yeah.
It is the 33rd.
Yeah. The contractor for the Bay Shore Well House is Olson & Olson Building Constructors on Manistee, and they're just waiting for spring to arrive. Last week it looked like it was a ways away. This week I drove by and it looks like they could start next week almost. But the building will be, it's their first project on the list for the spring. A couple challenges over there with some of the power running to the nearby housing building was actually, once the mist dig came out there, that main high voltage power was running right underneath the proposed building, so UPCO actually had to relocate that. We're also gonna do a temporary power change to the existing well house so we can safely have power to the existing well house while the new well house is being built. Unfortunately, this project did have troubles. We tried to bid it out over a year ago, and it came in over budget. So some of the specialty type of work in the industry has started to come in really high. We did value engineering, changed the plans and specifications a bit, and it still came in over budget. But with that, we took something out of the project just to get the actual new building built, as the existing building has some deteriorating going on and it needs to be replaced. But there will be some additional city cost required at the end of the project to do that transition to get rid of the old well house and get the new well house up and running, such as finishing the wells, some of the scope of work to do with the wells, and some of the SCADA, which is the communication technology for the operators to utilize for how much water is being used and so forth.
Any additional information as far as an estimate of the cost?
I do have, what we took out of the bid, and it was about $250,000. But that was with the subcontractors bidding to a general contractor, knowing that it had rural development requirements. The city has already spoken with those, well builders, subcontractors, and the SCADA subcontractors, and we feel that it should be less than that when they're working directly with the city after the rural development project is complete.
Anybody else have any questions? So we are needing a motion to approve the payment totaling $41,178.36.
I'll make the motion, we approve the resolution approving the payment of $41,178.36.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Wilkinson, supported by Commissioner Prunick, to approve the resolution for the pay request for the 28 water improvements project in the amount of $41,178.36. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Mary.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Aye.
Commissioner Justardens.
Yes.
Commissioner Byrd.
Aye.
Commissioner Prunick.
Aye.
Mayor Barry.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, BP Engineers Service Agreement Amendment 6.
Yeah, so these engineering amendments are never fun to go through, but there is kind of a history on this one. So we did the previous engineering amendment number 5. That was to add in additional work to the project. And at that time, there was a contingency amount of about $80,000 left. And engineering was fully used up at that point. Our engineering amendment was just to use that. We made it equal that entire contingency amount, and that was really the basis of that. And we had in our time for Bayshore Wellhouse redesign, value engineering, in rebidding that portion of the project. And then the remainder of it was to be on the Barnum Street construction administration. And with the rural development project, we are required to be on site to do measurements and observations and documentation of the as-built of the project. With that, the contractor construction duration was longer than what was left in that budget. And I had on maybe the cover page of that amendment, an additional time of 181 hours for observation. And then also our project management had an additional time of about 30 hours for project managing and assisting that general contractor with getting their pay applications in a rural development acceptable fashion. So the total engineering amendment amount equals $22,966.
Devin?
So big question is, after this amendment, if it is approved, how much time is remaining in the project that's allotted for engineering?
There's $10,000 left. With a well house project, a lot of the submittals in pre-construction work has been complete. We will be doing some site visits, but with it being a building project and it's not work that's being buried underground, it's not all-day type of observation, it's more site visits. And the work we had identified in amendment number 5 to do this Bayshore Well House work, amendment number 4 and amendment number 5 will include that. So we really think if construction goes as planned and unforeseen issues don't come up at the Bayshore Well House, that we will make the remaining budget work.
Would it be your recommendation then that we approve it?
It would be.
Okay. I move that we approve amendment number 6 to the contract in the amount of $22,966.
I'll support.
Moved by Commissioner Justardens, supported by Commissioner Wilkinson to approve the UP Engineers Service Agreement Amendment Number 6 in the amount of $22,966. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Item number 4, this one, I'm going to, it's the 4th of July license agreement for 2025. It has been asked of us by the chair of the 4th of July committee to table this until next month. He would like to Sean Hayes would like to be here to talk to us in person, so.
And I would prefer our city attorney was here too.
And he will, or the next meeting, it's not next month.
17th.
And so Bill will be here for that
Okay.
one too.
I move we table item number 4 until the next regular meeting.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Justardens and supported by Commissioner Prunick to table the 4th of July license agreement for 2025 until our next meeting on the 17th of March. All those, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Munising Bay Trail Network License Agreement. This is an annual agreement that we make with the Munising Trail.
So this license agreement is, actually, it is a reoccurring license, so it is in place until either party requests a change. When we had Bill here and he started reviewing licenses, he had a couple recommendations that we clean up the license, and I did highlight the changes that he's recommended. Did review these changes with Rhonda Laszlo, the director of the Mountain Bike Association, and I can go through them real quick because there's only a small handful. Second page, paragraph L, our attorneys recommended that we add with express permission of the city. If the trails are built with express permission, they should be closed with express permission of the city. Just kind of bookending that portion of the development, and then down to section 3, paragraph C. Also recommended that we explicitly state that the mountain bike group is responsible for obtaining permits and paying for those permits. Once again, a housekeeping item. And the, going back up, paragraph F at the top of page 2, adding a descriptive of what is the maintenance requirements and adding as safe as can reasonably done, so the trails are maintained in as safe of condition as basically possible and reasonable. And then the last change is third page, G. It is a change in the language to allow the mountain bike group to only insure the mountain bike trails for mountain biking. Is the city is able to carry a general liability policy that does cover recreational assets outside of the mountain bike. However, it does especially require them in their insurer to cover mountain biking on their trails.
Is Exhibit A purported to show the First Street extension on here?
Yes, yep, that was the one that was provided by Rhonda when they proposed the trail. So they are building a new trail
I can
map.
see that this is St. Martin's Hill right here. That's the only detail I can pick out of this picture.
And others may be able to give a better update, but I know that they're revising the trail map for the city right now. And
I've seen the proposed trail route, but it's not part of Exhibit A. All right.
Anybody else have any other questions regarding the agreement? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Munising Bay Trail Network license agreement.
I support.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Prunick, supported by Commissioner Burge to approve the Munising Bay Trail Network license agreement with the proposed changes.
Yes, this.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. No,
I didn't-
no, I
Your
said
motion,
that.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Tourist, item number 6, Tourist Park Project Change Order number 1 of an increase of $2,283.
Yes, this is a change order for a partition door that will be added to the existing bathrooms in the west bathroom building. In our plans, we had spec'd out a 55-inch polymer door. However, we've quickly found out that they don't make a 55-inch polymer door, so we went to look for comparables, and when going to a 72-inch HDPE door, color is going to be countertops are going to be juniper, and door colors are going to be glacier gray, with epoxy color for the floor being matrix, as decided as of today. So it is a change order to go from that 52-inch to a 72-inch door. If approved, the change order would still put the project under budget by $2,772.
Anybody have questions?
No.
How'd you come up with those colors?
Yeah.
We tried to match existing.
What is the color matrix?
It's like a dark gray with kind of like I would say pepper, kind of gravelly brick thing on. I'm a city manager. I am not.
This is really fun. This is
I can barely write, let alone pick colors. And I think my staff would agree.
I'll make a motion, we approve the tourist park change order number 1, the increase of $2,283.
I'll support.
Doesn't matter either way.
Okay. Well, we'll give it to Jordan, I guess, this time. Moved by Commissioner Wilkinson, supported by Commissioner Prunick, to approve the Troy Park project, change order number 1, of an increase of $2,282. Any more discussion? None. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And item number 7, first reading to amend zoning ordinance, adding greenhouse/garden center as accessory use in C and D districts.
Yes, the planning commission was approached by the Denmans, who are here this evening. I want to say back in January, right around then, and they asked about getting an exterior greenhouse garden center on their parcel of their existing Denmans hardware store. The planning commission worked with the Denmans on identifying a mechanism that could work to allow that to happen, and the planning commission discussed it. And Bob, please feel free to fill in, as Bob is on our planning commission. But the planning commission felt as though that was a good accessory use, it is not a primary use, so you cannot have just a pure greenhouse or a pure garden center downtown. However, as an accessory use in the downtown district, the garden greenhouse center would be an allowable use for the Denmans and anybody else in the district. They also felt as though it could be also a good companion use in the commercial district, which is the M28 corridor from Superior Street out east to the city limits. So that's going to include the former Snyder buildings, Pat's, everything along that line. It is a first reading, and the typical process is first reading, and then the second reading occurs the following meeting with a public hearing, and that public hearing has to be published 5 to 15 days prior to the actual public hearing and meeting.
So we can have the public hearing we can have next Monday.
So we can't have it next Monday because we don't publish again until Friday. It will have to be April 2nd, and we will publish on April 21st. Because we have to meet that 5, or no less than 5, no more than 15 days.
I just say we were given good information as far as site, parking, we were concerned about that, and the ordinance as far as height and all that other stuff. We were given all pretty good information, so that's why the planning commission went along with that and decided to bring it to us.
And the benefit of having it as an accessory use is that the operator on the parcel still has to meet all of the other zoning requirements as well, setbacks, parking requirements. It is just an allowable use, not a carte blanche approval of, or removal of any other items in that zoning ordinance.
Anybody else have any questions? Well, we don't need a motion, so this will move forward then.
What'd you say, April 21st?
It'll be April 2nd, and the notice will be published on the 21st. March 21st.
All right. Item F, public comment. 4-minute limit.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Thank you to Commissioner Wilkinson and City Manager Scott Wilkinson for going in and explaining how that worked in the planning commission stage. That was exactly what I was looking for when dealing with the PDA comments about the TIF. There's still a very large gap between people that know things and people that want to know things in this community. And sometimes that extra clarification at the public meetings that are more open than others, even though they're all open, can be the difference between what's available for people that are working second shift and can't make government meetings, or they're choosing to go to other government meetings instead. So that was exactly how I was hoping that would be, and I'm very thankful for that, because that was a good example of how it's supposed to go.
Anybody else? Okay, item G, adjournment, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Second.
support.
I got-
Moved by-
Yeah, that's your turn.
Moved by